Hello, hi, how is everyone? If you're catching the replay, hello. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for today. Okay, I'm gonna jump right in. I am a few minutes early, but I just wanna jump right in. And like I said on day one, I wanna make these videos concise, short, to the point, so you can really, you don't have to take a lot of time watching the videos, but more of I want you to spend more time integrating. So day one, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's about grounding into your energy, feeling at home in your body. That was day one. So day two, we're gonna be discussing a few things. And the first, I wanna give you some keywords, definitions, because I think that when we talk about psychics and we talk about clairs, a lot of people don't know what that is, and I want to kind of have these definitions for you, and then we'll go into the energy of a couple of things. Okay. So let's talk about clairs. Let's get some definitions out of the way. You can look up clairs, C-L-A-I-R-S, through Google, and they will tell you the full definition. Because I don't want to waste a lot of time talking about things that you can just Google. I want to really talk to how do you become psychic? How do you actually tap into your intuitive gifts? Because that's the most important thing here, not necessarily worrying about definitions of things, but it does give you some clearer understanding. So your clairs, I wrote down 6, but I actually only go by the 4 most prominent ones. But there are other types of clairs, and I talked a bit at day one about a clair tasting or clair smelling. I don't necessarily think that those are the most important clairs, so I don't focus on those. But if you feel like you can smell things or taste things and that's one of your intuitive gifts, then by all means keep going with that gift. But I do think there's ones that are a little bit easier to navigate, and they also can help you go a little bit further in your journey of becoming psychic. So clairvoyance means clair seeing, okay? So clairvoyance means I'm actually seeing whatever the psychic hit is, or whatever the intuitive gift, through my third eye. So clear seeing means that I see the future, right? Or I see the energy of somebody. And for me, that might look like I see a certain tree or a vision when I'm doing a reading for somebody. So that's clairvoyance. And then we have clairaudience, which means clear hearing. Then there's clairsentience, which means clear feeling, which means that I feel, a lot of empaths probably have this particular psychic ability that you just feel the sadness of somebody. You feel the anxiousness or the overwhelm of somebody, right? So claircognizant, which is something that I have, is a clear knowing. You ever just, somebody's like, how did you know that was going to happen? And you're like, I have no idea, I just knew it. That's claircognizant. And it's really hard to explain to people because they ask you, how do you know? And you actually really don't know how you know. It's just something that you know, and there's no explanation for. So those are our clairs, and I wanted to just give those definitions because I think that it'll be really helpful when you're on your journey to be like, oh, right, that's one of my clairs. I just know things. Let's see if we can adjust this lighting at all so you're not getting that kind of glare from my glasses. Anyways. All right, so here's the thing that we're talking about today. Yesterday we talked about being at home in your body, and these definitions of the clairs are going to help you as you go through your journey and just figuring out what your gifts are, but they're not going to help you at all tap into your psychic abilities. It's just information. How do we actually tap into the energy of becoming psychic? So we feel at home in our body, we trust ourselves. This is going to be the biggest game changer for you and probably your whole life, but really tapping into your psychic abilities. So there's a couple questions I want you to ask yourself over the next couple of days. 1, how do you see psychics? How do you see them? How do you feel about them? Do you feel like they're scam artists? Do you feel that they're probably just guessing? Do you have some sort of image, maybe that 1-800 Miss Cleo or whatever, 1-800 call Miss Cleo? Do you feel like that is what a psychic is? So you're gonna need to redefine your definition of what being psychic is. If your definition involves some sort of thought process of it's a scam, that these people are just guessing, maybe they Googled you or like researched you or something, you're gonna need to redefine that. Because here's the thing, that is going to be your biggest block of your psychic gifts, your intuitive gifts, your intuition, is that you think that this is a scam. If you think this is a scam, it's going to be almost impossible for you to tap into your psychic gifts and abilities. So you've got to be able to redefine what your vision is of a psychic. Because a psychic is just somebody that can tap in to the collective consciousness and to the energy of the room, the situation, another person. And it has nothing to do with them trying to convince you to do something or scam you into something. And there are people like that. So it's not to say that that doesn't exist, but it is to say that if that's the only thing that you believe exists in this world of psychics, is somebody that's scamming you, somebody that's trying to like pull the wool over your eyes or whatever, then you're gonna have to redefine that for yourself. Because you would see me in the grocery store, you would never think I was a psychic. You would never think that I do the work that I do, that I help people tap into their spiritual gifts, that I'm advising people in their spirituality and their like religious practices. You would never think that by just looking at me. So it's time to redefine your definition of what you believe being psychic is, because it isn't just one way. It isn't an outfit. It isn't a belief system. It isn't a religion or a type of spiritual practice. It's who you are, because we are all psychic. There's not one person on this earth that cannot access their intuitive gifts. And your intuitive gifts are just the way that you tap into the collective consciousness. So redefining what being psychic means. That's number one. So the other thing is that when you start doing this practice to become more at home in your body, you have to trust yourself. So this is really what day 2 is about, is trusting yourself, trusting your instincts, trusting your gut, trusting your visions, trusting the feeling that you get when you're like, oh, that person has a bad vibe. Instead of trying to make an excuse up, instead of trying to say, oh, that person has a bad vibe, but I'm just going to give them a chance. Don't do it. For what reason? For what reason? If your first reaction about somebody, let's make this easy. Okay. We've all been here. I've been here. We all been here. You get in a new relationship and you're like, it seems like a red flag, but I'm just going to ignore it. And then another one pops up and you go, that definitely seems like a red flag, but I'm just going to ignore it. Another one pops up. And then you realize, oh, there is a massive pile of red flags over here and I've literally chosen to ignore all of them. And now I'm in this situation with this person that feels horrible. And now I'm going to have to break up with them or separate myself from them or whatever. The first red flag that you get from somebody, no matter what, the first energy, the first ping of like, be done with the situation, leave the experience. The problem is that you were taught, we all were, even if you're uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable and I'm just gonna smile. Just gonna smile, and I'm just gonna stand here and I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say that I'm uncomfortable. I'm not gonna just walk away. I'm not gonna be rude. I'm just gonna. Anybody else? I've done that. I did that recently. I walked in to buy a car. Asked to see the Carfax. They didn't tell me it was an accident. I look and they go, oh, there looks like an accident on here. They go, oh, really? Oh, okay, yeah, there's an accident. And I go, actually, there was 2 accidents. I should have walked out in that moment. I knew it. My head started to hurt. My body started to tell me this is not going to get anywhere where you want to go. Like, I already had psychic hits of like, get out of here, move. Like, you do not need to be here. They lied to you twice now. And in 10 minutes, they've lied to you. So what makes you think that they're not going to continue to lie to you? I don't know, but I'm just gonna smile and waste my fucking time even though I don't feel good. My body is starting to fully shut down. I'm starting to get a headache. My body has already notified me that this is not a good situation, that you're not gonna get what you want. Like, I've already been having like things thrown at me the whole experience. And yet I'm not listening. Why? Why? Because I was taught, which probably some of you were, that even if you feel uncomfortable, to just smile. I'm feeling uncomfortable, but I'm not going to say anything and I'm not going to walk away because I don't trust myself. Okay. So, when you're wanting to tap into your psychic abilities, if you have led a life which is not your fault, so let's just not, no one is blaming you for leading this type of life. No one is saying that this is your fault. So let's make that very abundantly clear. But if you have led a life of not trusting yourself, not trusting your desires, not trusting the intuitive hits that you get, not trusting your ability to really think about other people and yourself, not trusting that if something feels off or bad or wrong, that you just leave the situation and you continue to kind of like continue to move through this uncomfortable feeling even though you really don't want to. It's not your fault, first off, but it has to stop now. As soon as you get the first thought in your head about something, take it and run. Because the quicker that you can get into trusting yourself and trusting your instincts, the quicker that this kind of psychic ability is going to heighten. And you're going to be able to like what we call quantum leap. You're going to be able to cut the time of like training or whatever you want to call it and tapping into these psychic gifts. You're going to be able to cut the time because you're going to be trusting yourself. The more you trust yourself, the more you trust yourself, right? The more that you believe that what you're feeling is true, the quicker it is that you are going to be able to like skyrocket your psychic abilities. So here's something kind of from like my past, right? I was in a relationship, back in my early 20s or whatever. And I remember feeling at the beginning of it, like, I don't really want to be in a relationship with this person. Like, I kind of just want to hook up and be done with it. And that person wanted a relationship with me. And so every red flag that I would get, every psychic hit that would tell me, run away from this person, I would be like, oh, you're just overreacting, self. This person is great. You're overreacting. Here's what I want you to do, because this is how I was able to like connect with source, connect with the universe, connect with my intuitive self, is that I had to say to myself, whose voice am I listening to? Because the voice that said, leave, was my voice, but it was a whisper. It whispered to me. She said, please leave. But the voice that was screaming, that was the loudest of like, you're just overreacting. Let me be very clear and honest with you and transparent. That was my mom's voice. That was my mom telling me that I'm overreacting, that I'm being dramatic, that I should just smile. That was my mom's voice. And it was so much louder than my intuitive voice because I was not taught, and if you're here, I can guarantee we have a similar energy, that you were not taught to listen to your voice, that you were constantly overridden, that you were constantly told not to trust yourself, right? And so when that is how you grew up or how you've actually like been leading your life for decades, the voice, your psychic voice, your intuitive voice, your spiritual foundations and sense of what you feel about the world is quiet. she's really quiet because she's scared. So when I say trust yourself, sometimes some of you guys are going to be like, well, what the fuck? Like, I do trust myself. But I want you to really dig deep today and all the time. But dig deep. Am I trusting myself? Or is that voice the voice of somebody else? Because they will sound very similar, but they're not the same. The energy, the vibration of it is totally different. If I say, hold on, Jenny, I see that you commented. I don't know what you said. Oh, there we go. Do you accept private messages on here? Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like, just on Facebook? You can private message me. Might take me a little bit to respond, but sure. So if you're hearing the voice and it's really loud and it's telling you you're overreacting, that can't be true. Like, yeah, if you want to talk more about this, sure. And I also do, like, if you really want to get like deep, then we can do like a session together, right? Like, and that I do charge for, but if you just like have a quick question, sure. Or you can put the questions in the group. You have to start basically saying, I trust myself, I trust myself, I trust myself, I trust myself in the mirror work, right? How we doing mirror work yesterday. This is a part of that. But I want you to really listen to the voice. I want you to really listen to the voice. Is it yours? Is it your voice? Because the biggest thing, like I said, that is going to separate you from your psychic abilities, and most people are trying to jump that gap. They're trying to jump the gap, right? Of like knowing they're psychic, knowing they know things, but they just can't trust themselves fully to dive in. And trying to guess that gap is understanding the influence you had as a child. So that inner child work, like it's all a part of it, right? So it's looking and saying to yourself, is that my voice? Or is that the voice of somebody else? Do I feel uncomfortable? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel overwhelmed? Do I feel sad when I hear the voice, you're overreacting? That can't be true. You don't even know that person. How would you know that about that person? I want you to really, really tap and tune into that and say, is that my voice? Is that my psychic voice? Is that my intuitive voice? Is that my inner voice? Is that my inner advisor? That's why I like to kind of like, is that my inner advisor? Or is that somebody else? So one of the things you can do to start trusting yourself, because I know at this point you're thinking, okay, trust myself, cool. How do I do that? How do I trust myself? How do I know that I'm trusting myself and I'm not trusting a voice that's not mine? How do I know? How can I tell the difference? So one of the cool things about what I do in my work is that I help people really start to redefine their spiritual foundations, redefine their spiritual self. And you have to start out slow. So what helps you to feel at home in your body? Okay? So yesterday we talked about that. We're bringing that into today. What makes me feel at home in my body? When you can feel at home in your body, I want you then to ask yourself then, in that moment, what would feel good now? What would be the next step in feeling good? And trust that the first answer that comes, because the first answer is going to be a whisper, you'll barely hear it, that's going to be the answer that's your voice. 5 minutes after, and you're still trying to think about it, that's not your voice anymore. It's probably the voice of all the people that have judged you, all the people that have projected their shit on you, all the people that raised you, that maybe you don't like the way that they do things. That is going to be their voices. But the first thing that you hear is going to be your voice. So when we're trusting ourselves, we have to know that that first voice is going to tell us some wild shit that we never, ever, ever thought we would do. So here, let me tell you, the first time I truly remember hearing that voice and trusting it, okay? I went to Nicaragua for a vacation years ago, like 8 years ago, 2010, 2011, something like that. Went on vacation there for a month. And as soon as I arrived in the energy of that country, I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. This is where I'm meant to live. I'm meant to live here. I don't know for how long. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but I'm meant to be here. So it was like a month-long vacation. I went back to the States. I literally gave everything away. People thought I was fucking losing my mind. I gave everything away. I packed up my dog, a fucking suitcase, and I flew to Nicaragua. I didn't have a house. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a lot of money. I think I probably had like $1,500 in my checking account. Like, I did not have a lot to be fucking doing all that, right? But there was that really tiny voice inside of me that said, trust this is the right move. Trust that you will be taken care of. Trust that if you listen to your intuitive gifts and your intuitive guidance, that you will find this path, that you will go on this journey. And are you willing to go on the journey? But you will find this path. And so I did. And I'm going to tell you, the voices my voice was really, really soft, was saying, please trust this. Please trust it. It's going to be the best thing that ever happened to you in your entire life. It's going to really change everything about you. It's going to change everything. It's going to be hard. It's going to be all the things, but you're going to leave, or you're going to pull your way through this. And it's going to be one of the most amazing things that you can ever do for yourself. But on the other side of that, on the other side of this small psychic hit, was people telling me I'm crazy, my family disowning me, no support at all. People telling me that like I was gonna die. Like it was wild, right? And so why am I telling you this story? Like, you're probably thinking, okay, what the fuck? Why am I telling you this story? Because when you start trusting yourself, when you start trusting yourself, the majority of people around you will think you're going crazy. The majority of people around you will say, you've never done anything like that before. Like, what makes you, why are you doing that now? They're gonna think that you're taking something away from them. Because here's probably what you've been doing when you haven't been trusting your psychic gifts, when you haven't been trusting your intuition, when you haven't been trusting this very essence of you, the truth of you, when you haven't been trusting your truth, people are going to think that you are taking away from them, because what you've been doing is living by their truth. What you've been doing is living by the standards that they set for you. This can go with relationships, with friends, with family, your job, all the things. It's not just like your intimate kind of relationships. It's every single person. And you have to trust that your truth, that your guiding light, that your psychic gifts, that you becoming truly who you are and trusting yourself will lead you to joy, will lead you to the life that you've been wanting to live, will lead you to who you want to be, will lead you to the people that will support you, will lead you to the environments that will be conducive for your growth, not only in your psychic abilities, but in your personal development. Like, it will lead you to these things. But you have to be willing to be led by that gift. And that is the hardest part. So that's why we start with feeling at home in our body. And the second is trusting anything that you get. Here's what I do. Here's how you can start doing it, because now we really kind of went out of kind of the spectrum of like, okay, so what do I do now if I'm trusting myself? Here's what you can do, and this is your homework. Like, I gave you a couple homeworks at the beginning of this video, but here's like a very simple thing that you can do. If something pops in your brain that says, take the back road today, take it. If something says, don't go to Target today, go to Walmart. For whatever reason, I don't know why my brain would say that, but like, for whatever reason, do the small task that your intuitive gifts or psychic gifts are asking you to do. Trust yourself with tiny, tiny intuitive gifts. Maybe you feel, I think the easiest way to do it is with your physical body. So are you craving a certain food? Go eat it. Are you thinking about somebody? Call them. Are you wanting to start, I don't know, a new project? Start the new project. Don't talk yourself out of these tiny intuitive hits, because the more that you can trust with the tiny stuff, God or universe or source, whatever it is that you kind of like, that you believe in, will start to hand you the bigger things. Like maybe you want to be a psychic medium. Maybe you want to talk to people who have already passed over. You're not going to just get that gift. Like most of the time the universe isn't going to just like be like, here's someone's random grandma trying to contact you. That isn't going to be the jump that you're going to make or that you want to make, right? Because that's scary as hell if you've like never tapped into psychic abilities or psychic gifts and you randomly get someone's grandma that passed away trying to talk to you. That's weird. Like it's scary. So start small. Like, and I know that that sucks to hear, because oftentimes when people are like, I want to be psychic, they want to like be able to read the future or be able to do crazy things with their gifts. But if I told you today and you don't run, and I said tomorrow we're going to run a marathon, you'd be like, what the fuck? No, I'm not running a marathon tomorrow. Like I don't even know how to run a mile. Like how am I going to run a marathon? So think about it like this. This is training. You're not going to just tap into the psychic field and be completely psychic. Allow yourself to be guided. Allow yourself to have fun on this journey of figuring out your gifts, of understanding yourself first, of trusting yourself first. Then allow it to unfold as it will. The more that you trust yourself, the more that you trust in the unfolding, the more that you trust in the journey, the stronger your psychic gifts. The problem isn't that you aren't ready. The problem isn't that you need time. Training doesn't have anything to do with time. It has to do with trust and surrender. And the deeper you can surrender into yourself, the deeper you go with your shadow work, the deeper you go with your healing, the deeper you go with all of that, the quicker the psychic gifts will come. But you have to trust yourself first. And then you'll start to see the psychic gifts come out. So trust the small instincts today. I want you to take yourself on a little journey today where you're just trusting that little tiny whisper of a voice, because it's probably a whisper at this point. Trust the whisper. Trust the whisper. That should be the like name of this. Trust the whisper. So trusting the tiny voice inside of you that is really trying to guide you, and trust that she or he is guiding you, or they, guiding you to your next training session, let's say, right? And is continuing to guide you. And every single time that you trust yourself, you pick up a new tool. And you trust yourself and you pick up a new tool. So on this journey, it isn't just about getting from point A to point Z and like fully becoming psychic. It's about accumulating all the tools, right? Hi. If you guys don't know, I have a garden and I got cat nip so that the stray cats could come in the garden, because like I kind of want to be a cat lady, and I just saw that one is out there, one's in the garden. It's in a separate container, not with like my vegetables, because I just think it's cute that they go and roll around in the catnip. Anyways, I'm a weirdo. If you like cats, you'll like me, because I just like seeing the little stray kitties with the catnip. Anyways, have a good day. Have a good Tuesday. I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Go trust yourself today. Trust all your instincts, and I want to see where it lands you. If something really wild happens or you have this crazy thing that happens, put it in the group, because I want to know what trusting yourself actually brings you. It has brought me the most joy, the most magnificent experiences by trusting that these little intuitive hits that I get are actually leading me to the most joyful, blissful, and amazing place in my life. It actually has led me here. But anyways, bye.